You've been carrying it for years, haven't you? There's that one thing, the memory that flashes like a warning light. The choice you made that still makes your stomach tighten. The version of yourself you wish you could outgrow but still echoes inside you. You didn't erase it. You didn't escape it. You just learned how to walk while holding it behind your back. With accomplishments, explanations, and a carefully built story about who you've become. But even the strongest stories still have a shadow. Al-Ghazali understood this shadow. He spoke about shame not as a scholar examining sin from a safe distance, but as someone who had felt his own face burn in the dark. Someone who had whispered to himself, "How could I have been that person?" But he said something most people never hear. The thing you're most ashamed of might be the very thing that saved you, not in spite of what happened, because of it. There's a difference between guilt and shame we forget. Guilt says you did something wrong. Shame says you are something wrong. Guilt lives in your actions. Shame settles into your bones, and it stays long after you've changed. Sometimes, long after the person you were no longer exists. You don't hide it because it still hurts. You hide it because you're afraid of what people would think if they saw the older, unedited version of you. But Al-Ghazali said, shame is a kind of protection, not protection from other people, protection from forgetting. Because the thing you're ashamed of made you careful. It made you aware. It softened the edges of your certainty. It kept you from becoming careless with other people's hearts. It taught you what it feels like to fall. And once you felt that fall, really felt it, you carry yourself differently. You don't punish yourself with it anymore. You remember with it. Because everyone around you is carrying something too heavy to speak about. A woman told me something last month. She was cleaning old boxes in her garage, dust on her fingers, cold air on her neck. And she found a photograph from 15 years ago. She said the woman in that picture made a choice that changed everything. A choice she's never told anyone. But standing in that garage, holding that photo, she realized something she never understood before. That single painful choice made her gentle. It made her listen differently. It made her the kind of person her daughter now comes to when her world feels like it's falling apart. That hurt made her softer, not weaker, softer. And Al-Ghazali said this softness is how the heart learns, not through books, not through sermons, but through the unbearable realization that you are capable of causing the same pain you've suffered. And once you see that in yourself, you can't unsee it in anyone else. This is the first truth shame reveals. You are not separate from the people you've judged. You are them. You've been them. And you might be them again tomorrow if you're not careful. Every mistake leaves a mark. But the mark isn't the stain. It's the awareness. It's that small pause before you speak, the hesitation before you assume, the quiet moment where you remember that you don't know what someone is carrying. That hesitation isn't weakness, it's wisdom wearing softer clothes. The second truth shame reveals is harder. The thing you're ashamed of didn't just teach you, it redirected you. Imagine a train racing through the night, headed toward a collapsed bridge no one can see. And sometimes, the only way to save everyone is for the train to derail. Violently, painfully. People get hurt. People scream. People swear it's the end. But years later, they realize the crash saved their lives. It tore them away from a path that would have destroyed them. Al-Ghazali said sometimes you have to be stopped, not by wisdom, not by advice, not by gentle nudges, but by impact. by failure, by the thing you thought would end you, not as punishment, as rescue. You didn't choose to fall, but the fall chose you, pulled you away from a path that wasn't meant for the person you were becoming. And you're here now, reading these words, because something inside you broke in a way that allowed something else to grow. You became someone who listens instead of lectures, someone who understands before correcting, someone who knows healing is slow and doesn't look like anything worth posting. And that matters more than you think, because the world is full of people drowning in their own shame right now. People convinced the thing they did means they are beyond repair. But when they meet you, they won't see your accomplishments or your carefully edited story. They'll see your gentleness, your pause, your refusal to judge too quickly. They'll feel that quiet message in you that says, I know what it's like to need grace. And that might be the first time they believe grace is possible for them too. This isn't about pretending your past didn't happen. It's not about turning pain into a neat lesson. It's about recognizing that the most tender parts of you are the ones that can hold space for other people's tenderness. Al-Ghazali said, a heart that has been shattered and then reassembled becomes wide enough to hold opposites: grief and gratitude, regret and relief, shame and compassion. A spacious heart, a tested heart. Maybe you've felt this, how some people feel safe the moment you meet them, how you can tell someone has suffered not because they talk about it, but because of the way they listen. That's the strength that comes from having survived yourself. And here's the thing everyone misses. The part you're most ashamed of isn't something you need to erase. It's something you need to integrate, not forget, not forgive and move on. Integrate. Let it become part of the story that made you capable of love, patience, presence, and the ability to sit with people in their worst moments without needing them to be different. There's an understanding in the old tradition. Divine mercy doesn't erase consequences. It transforms them. It takes what should have destroyed you and uses it as material for a version of you that couldn't have existed any other way. Your shame wasn't a mistake. You walked through something without knowing where it led. And now you're here, able to see things from this height that you couldn't see back then. You can sense when someone is pretending to be fine. You can feel when someone is on the verge of breaking. You know when someone needs silence more than advice. And you know all this because once upon a time no one offered it to you. And you remember how that felt. So here's the question Al-Ghazali would ask. What if the thing you've been hiding is actually the thing you were meant to offer? Not by confessing it, not by turning it into content, but by letting it make you someone who doesn't look away when things get messy. Someone who can sit with the parts of others that they're most afraid to show. That isn't something you learn from books or meditation or discipline. That's something you only gain by falling and discovering you can stand again. The strange mercy is this. The thing you thought disqualified you is actually what qualifies you for compassion, for connection, for being useful in ways that matter more than success or applause. You are not less because of what happened. You are different, and the world needs people who are different in exactly the way you've become. So maybe tonight you can stop carrying it like a secret, not because you need to tell anyone, but because you finally see it for what it was. Not a stain, not a failure, not evidence that you are broken, but evidence that you survived something that was meant to teach you how to be human in a world that forgets how much courage that takes. And maybe the part of you that still feels ashamed is the same part that now knows how to love people in their incomplete places. Because you remember what it felt like to be incomplete and still worth holding.